Between the two of them,
the inside of Coates,
Parker gets too heavily involved,
and that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hi everybody, a very good morning and a very warm welcome to Donington Park, which we are at, as you can see, virtually for the second week of the hashtag Mini Challenge eSeries. That's the tag that you can use to get in touch with us. It is a big pleasure to welcome Janetta Scholar for 2021, Maurice Henry to the commentary box. Maurice, I was going to say good to see you again. I can't see you, but great to be working with you here. When we met at the Janetta Scholarship, you said that you did eSeries racing. The first thing I think I said was we'll have to get you onto the Mini Challenge eSeries, and we've done it. Welcome along. How are you?
Hi Richard. Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me on here. I'm good, thank you. I'm doing okay. I'm looking forward to this race. It's looking like it's going to be an interesting race. I do like Donington myself, and I'm looking forward to it in the Janetta Junior Championship. Yeah, should be a good race. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it very much as well. We've got such a tight championship. I was looking at the practice times this morning, and I think the gauntlet was thrown down in last week's meeting. The points table at the moment might actually be by a solitary point from his 10/10 teammate, Dave Marshall. And, Dave was right on it today with the fastest lap in the practice session, not qualifying. And here's the championship table. Eps from Dave Marshall. The top sim driver, the top sim lad at the moment is Matt Richards. Then we've got Robbie Stapleford, who you could see with that rather ominous red note there, has got penalty points on his campaign already. 1 penalty point. Andrew Ringland, the clerk of the course, was certainly busy last week. Jack Mack, the silent assassin, second in the sim category. He's 5th overall from Max Edmondson. Then Rob Butler 7th. Dan Zelos, who I did a chat with in the week. I hope you've seen it on YouTube. If you haven't, it's well worth a look because we're talking about real racing as well in that. Max Coates 9th. He was disappointed with his opening weekend. The top 10 completed by Josh Martin. You can expect Isaac Smith, Jordan Brennan, Max Bird, so many great drivers hovering outside the top 10. And loads of great drivers also looking to get on the point scoring board in the course of today's meeting as well. It is a different point scoring scenario to last year in that we only have the top 15 drivers who will score points in each race. There is an extra point for fastest lap and another extra point for pole position. So Dave Marshall could technically level the championship points in qualifying, and he'll be keen to do that. So it is his teammate Mike Epps who leads the table, and they are in separate classes because Mike Epps one of the real world drivers and Dave Marshall the top sim driver. And yeah. Maurice, you might get to meet Dave Marshall because his prize for winning the last series was one of the was a toke round in the mini challenge, so you could well be on with him. I'll just run through the race day schedule before we chat some more. 10 o'clock qualifying, 15 minutes of qualifying, then race 1 we go into pretty much straight away after we've spoken to the pole position man. That's a 20-minute race, and then the reverse grid race, which is race 2. The top 12 drivers, as opposed to the top 10 last year, will be reversed. But what a race we had, race 2, that we had at Brands Hatch with Max Edmondson holding on for so long from P12 in race 1, got the reverse grid pole, and he did such a super job. And don't forget, tweet us, mention us on Facebook, hashtag Mini Challenge UK eSeries. Who do you think is going to win? Comment on the driving, comment on anything you like. More importantly, of course, over each race, maybe give us a driver of the race as well. So, we are able to have you take part. Here's the calendar. Next week, we're off to the Island Circuit at Alton Park. really good for me that I don't have to make the long drive to Cheshire, which is one of the worst drives of the year for me. I don't know why, it just always is going up late on a Friday, but we get to do it from the comfort of our armchairs next week. Snet after that, Knockhill, Silverstone National, Silverstone International. We wrap up as ever on the GT configuration at Brands Hatch on the 6th of March, and hopefully by then we'll be getting some of these lockdown issues eased a little bit, and we might be able to start to get out a little bit more. Here's your spotter's guide, which is available on the internet if you want to keep an eye out for your favourite driver over the course of the 8 weeks. And some good stunning liveries there, some of which of course are exactly replicated from the real world drivers' machines. Some of the sim lads are of course hoping to get out in the real world at some point as well, and using this as a platform to do so. Donington looking a little bit less frosty than Brands last week, Maurice.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good that you pointed out as well some of the really amazing talent that's sitting outside the top 10 in the championship. And I know that they'll be hungry to try and get some results this round, try and score some good points and move their way up the championship. Yeah,
very definitely. It's a little bit sad for some of them to be sitting down there. There were, I think if you look over the course of the season, you're going to have a problem at one round, if not two, and it can sometimes define a season. But we've got drivers like Liam Lambert, who we'd expect to be up in the points this time. The Lux Motorsport driver had a 17th in race 1, so he's just a couple of places away from the points, and we'll try and keep an eye on which drivers are going to be scoring for the first time, as well as those at the sharp end. I've got to ask you, Maurice, who is your favourite out of all the drivers do you think is going to do the best here today at Donington, and why?
I'd probably say that Robbie Stapleford is looking good for this round. I know that Robbie's looking to get a better result this weekend. I know that last weekend didn't really go his way with a bit of contact as he was sitting in second place, so I know he's looking to get a nice podium or even look for that win.
Is he one of the drivers that you know from karting? I know he was at the scholarship with you.
Yes, I've actually previously known him from karting as well. He was at the scholarship as well. We've got a good relationship as well. He's a good friend of mine.
That's good to know. He was a finalist, wasn't he, on Ginetta scholarship, got through. Another impressive youngster, and he mentioned during the media interviews that we did that he was going to be racing in the eSeries. So good that he has moved up and made a very immediate impression last week. 4th in race 1, 6th in race 2 at Brands Hatch, but picked up that penalty point. So do you know if he's had a talking to by Andy Ringland? Have you spoken to him about that?
No, I haven't. I haven't had any information about that. But what I do know is that he is hungry for those results, and he's gonna try and work his way up and do the best he can. Because I know he was in a strong position at Brands Hatch, but an unfortunate bit of contact sent him down a little bit to 4th place. Yeah. But I know he's looking to make that back up and try and score some more points.
Yeah, he'll be keen to get back into things. We have a hot lap video coming up today as well, and it's Simon Reed, the OX4 racing driver, had a top 20 finish in race 2. So without further ado, let's have a look at Simon's hot lap.
Hello everyone and welcome to Donington Park Circuit. I'm Simon Reed with the Mini Plant Oxford Associate Race Team OX4 Racing, here to take you for a lap of the National Circuit. We begin the lap on the start-finish straight heading towards Redgate, braking hard for this tight corner, looking for the apex where the grass has been worn away. Don't get on the power too early as it's easy to run wide into the grass. Next, we head towards Hollywood, missing the first curb and aiming for the second, turning into the Craner curves early and staying over to the left to set us up for the braking zone into Old Airbit. There are nice flat curves here, so use them as much as needed, but careful to remain inside track limits. Then, we're flat out all the way up the hill towards McLean's into another area of hard braking and turning in, aiming for a late apex to get a good drive up the hill to Coppice. Sacrifice some entry speed into Coppice to keep the car from going too wide and prioritise a fast exit onto the Dunlop straight. This is crucial for a fast lap time. We are now flat out all the way down to the final chicane, Roberts, using the braking markers on the left as reference to get the car slowed down. Careful through here and avoid the sausage cursors not to upset the balance of the car. And now back onto the straight to the finish line, and that completes a lap of the Donington Park National Circuit. I'm Simon Reed with OX4 Racing, and I hope you enjoy the race. Thank you for watching.
Many thanks to Simon Reed for doing the hot lap for us on this occasion. Let's see whether that stands him in good stead for qualifying, which is about to get underway. Dave Marshall setting the benchmark in free practice, we'll call it, for this morning, and this very impressive lineup about to go into competition mode effectively, although many of the drivers of course will set free practice as a little bit of competition just to try and outpsych their rivals in the course of the morning. Inset there with Jack Noller. Jack will be doing a hot lap for us a little bit later on in the year, and great to see the guys working at their sims, Maurice, as they start to just bed themselves into this first bit of competition for the day.
Yeah, it is. I know the drivers will now be trying to work the car as much as possible, push it on this outlap, try and get as much heat in the tyres as possible, so they're ready for their flying lap. It'll just be full focus now for the drivers to try and put in that crucial lap, as track position is very important around this track. It could be a little bit of a slipstream train, so it makes overtaking a little bit harder if the guy in front also has the toe in front, so track position will be important for this race.
There's Ryan Elliott. He's hoping to make the move into the Mini Cooper Challenge, so you'll get to be very familiar with the mini racing over the course of the year, Maurice, because the JCWs of course are the mainstay of supports now for the touring cars and will be with us for the majority of the season. But like Ginetta, where we have Super Cup, the juniors as well, we have the Ginetta Challenge runners that come in on occasion as well, and with the minis, the equivalent of that is of course the Cooper class that come in and race, and many of the drivers here will be looking to get into the Cooper class first, and Ryan Elliott, one of the drivers, hoping to do that. Certainly one driver we will see and you will meet in the paddock at some point is Dave Marshall. I don't suppose that you've met Dave Marshall yet, but we'll have to get a photo up, I think, at some point of you two together, because it's a nice little story having our guest commentator meeting up with the guy who's won the round. The prize, incidentally, this year for the top sim driver is another funded Mini Cooper round, so it will be a non-Toka round. Dave's already won a Toka round and carried that over from last year, so he will be at one of the BTCC events this year, but he's hoping to win this series so that he can then get one of the non-BTCC rounds to add to that. But there are a lot of people snapping at his heels in the sim category, notably Matt Richard, second in the sim category, and Jack Mack, who had a disappointing weekend. The Silent Assassin last weekend was on 19 points, so he's going to start his claw back at the end of this. And then the real world drivers get sim equipment basically as their prizes, with the rigs sim race set up. They'll get a wheel, they'll get pedals, first and second place. Third position gets the Rig Sim Race 3 outfit and the GTC as well. There is Mr. Epps, who apparently, sorry for repeating this, all of our viewers, I'm not sure if Maurice heard me say it last time out, apparently sounds like Trevor Nelson, which is probably not a bad thing.
No, it probably isn't.
Looking at Mike's concentration there, he will want to maintain the championship lead, but at the moment on provisional pole we've got Rob Butler, so Rob 7th in the championship, and Jordan Brennan outside the top 10 in the championship. I've got to say, surprisingly, after what we saw last season, but he's P2. Max Edmonds quick there at the moment in P3, but clearly lots of rhythm to be found at the moment. And you know, what's the SP in qualifying, Maurice? What's your best thing? Get out and set a lap straight away, get a banker in, or do you characteristically maybe work at it through the session?
I think it's good for you to have a banker lap to aim for, a delta to try and beat. I think it's good if you try and get out and do as much laps as possible, as much as you're allowed to do or can do, depending on what the tyres are like. I think it's important for you to time it as well, get out at the right time, trying to avoid traffic and stuff like that. But it's mainly just trying to progress through the quali session, getting a rhythm with your laps, to make us not as much mistakes, but to just be in that rhythm to keep pumping in the laps and hopefully improve.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely. Rob Butler still holds on to pole. Jordan Brennan completes his lap. There is Jordan, the 98 car. Max Edmonds still third. Change further down, and a big improvement by Mike Epps, who takes provisional pole. So Epps, the championship leader, is there. We're going to have a quick look. Dave Marshall down in 7th, but he'll look to improve. There in the 89 car is Josh Martin in the Ski Tyres car, the green livery. And Josh, one of the drivers that we spoke to fairly well in depth last year. You can see he's using the VR headset, so it's interesting to see him using that. Have you used one of those, Maurice, or not had the chance yet?
Not had the chance yet, but they do seem to be getting more popular, so they do seem to work and create that more realistic environment for the drivers that some people prefer.
Yeah, really good to see. You can see him looking around. There's a great inset shot there that our director, Mike, has put up for us just to see. And Josh running in 15th position at the moment, so he's on the bubble of points once we get into racing. Luke Kinsley chasing him down. Epps still quickest from Rob Butler, and Jordan Brennan third from Max Edmondson. There's an improvement. Robbie Stapleford goes 5th. Dave Marshall at the moment is in 8th place, and there is the 10 tenths coaching car. 10 tenths coaching, part of the Virtual Reality Racing Club setup. You can get in touch with those guys if you need coaching on your sim racing or real world racing. They've got a cluster of drivers, including Dave Marshall and Mike Epps, who will able to help you with real world race coaching and sim coaching. So there's absolutely no excuse with lockdown. Okay, you can't get to a racetrack, but you can get in touch with VRRC and get some sim coaching, and then use the same company once we get back out on track and have a little bit of coaching with, and the guys, as I say, first and second in the championship. So there's some major talent in there, and I know Dave Marshall's involved in helping Dan Zelos get his setup sorted out. Dan, newcomer, he's only had his sim equipment a matter of weeks, and therefore a good performance from him, 8th position in the championship after the first round. There is the silent assassin, Jack McIntyre. He looks pretty. That's a cool body language, Maurice.
Mike Epps setting a very strong lap time there, setting a benchmark for everyone to try and beat. I know the drivers will be hungry to try and close down that gap. Mike Epps will look to extend that, but so far it's looking like he's comfortable and looking strong for this race number 1.
Yeah, the guy we had on inset there, Jack Mack, goes into T2. Dave Marshall, that we're looking for him to improve. He's 6th position at the moment, a 1:13.4, 3 tenths down on Mike Epps. There is Josh Hislop, the Kinetic Motorsport driver, very much associated in early doors with the Ford Fiesta, VRSCC's Ford Fiesta Junior Championship, which seems to be going from strength to strength. Another very good series for young drivers, and you tend to think of it maybe being tiered. A lot of drivers will look at the Ginetta Junior Series as being the premier one. I mean that with no disrespect to any other junior champions. It's just simply because of the fact that it's on the British Touring Car Championship. We've got so many viewers that we get to that. You've got the BRSCC Junior Championship, which you can race in as well, plus the Junior Saloon Car Championship, which has the Citroen Saxos. Again, another super championship which has produced a lot of very good drivers coming up the ladder. So a very good selection of junior championships that can help nurture talent along the way. Max Coates up to into 14th place. Isaac Smith wraps up the top 10. Max is going to be very disappointed at the moment. There is Isaac Smith, the youngest ever. I'll say this every time we see him, so people probably get fed up with it, but the youngest driver to win a senior championship in British motor racing, which was the VRRC Fiesta Championship, Isaac Smith, and was very quick last year coming into the JCW Minis. Had a nasty shunt. I think was involved in that nasty shunt on the Silverstone National round last year. Very worrying to watch, but managed to recover from that. He's just trying to get a bit of heat into the tyres there. But Epps, McIntyre and Butler, your top three. Brennan, Edmondson, Dave Marshall completing the top six. And Robbie Stapleford just outside that. So Robbie not too far away at the moment, Maurice.
Not too far away. I'm sure he'll be trying to find the time that he's losing. You can see though how close it is, you know, from 6th place to 1st, it's like less than 2 tenths, so the margin is close, everyone's very close, as Brennan actually gets a little bit closer to Mike Epps, but the gaps, but then Dave Marshall taking the top spot now and putting in a good lap by him, so he's now set the benchmark, so I guess everyone's just settling into the groove and improving, trying to get quicker. So it's looking good. The margin is small, everyone's close, but
yes, 600
to beat.
600 per second between Epps and Marshall. So Dave Marshall here. I was wondering, Maurice, when he was going to bang that time in, because some of the previous races we saw last season, he would bang in the banker lap, and very often that would be the one that secured him pole position. And this year we're kind of seeing him, I don't know if it's working harder, but having to put in those extra laps to try and steal back, and it was round about the 4 minutes remaining mark that he did that. The question I've got now is whether Mike Epps will be able to fight back. Max Edmondson goes up into 3rd place. Great performance from the youngster who was a front runner in the reverse grid race last time. There he is, the Riggs Esports Racing team car. 2-point scoring finishes last weekend, 12th and 3rd. So a great podium for him. I think he was probably a little bit disappointed not to finish higher up the podium, but the first 3 quarters of the race, he drove superbly throughout it, but held on to the lead with some great defensive driving for about 3 quarters of the race. But it's Marshall still there, Epps, Edmondson, Butler in 4th place, Jordan Brennan 5th from Jack Mack, Dan Seeloss 7th, Robbie Stapleford now down in 8th place. We're going to have a look at some of the other drivers that we haven't spoken about. Damien Hall, our Belgian policeman, 21st, and Damien, that's a 2-place improvement on his qualifying from Brands Hatch, so Damien's going to be pleased with that. Moving up the order, he's got a lot of following here as well online, so welcome to everybody following the Death in Paradise police officer, as we call him. And there we get the shot of Damien working hard. Again, we did a super interview with him last year, which is well worth a watch on the YouTube channel if you get the chance to see it. And Damien, like yourself, does a little bit of filming and commentary, Maurice.
Yeah, it's good to see him making improvements. All the drivers will, as they get used to the cars, they'll be building on the last round and improving over and over again, so it's good to see that he's making improvements and getting more used to the car and the conditions on the track. It's a good performance, and top 22 now, all just separated by a second, so it's so close in this race, in this qualifying, so it's producing good racing this championship.
It is a little change. I think Josh Stanton moved up ahead of Andy Dorman. Tried getting hold of Andy in the week to make him one of our chats, but that didn't happen, which is a pity. But we'll try later on in the season. 1 minute 13 on the clock. Dave Marshall's still there. Max Edmondson P2, so 500ths of a second down at the moment on Marshall. Mike Epps finds himself on row 3. On P3, row 2. Alongside Rob Butler provisionally at the moment. Then Jordan Brennan, you can see Jordan getting some point. Jack Davidson getting a helping hand there from Max Coates. A little love tap on the back, maybe to just try and get him out of the way. Coates has got the line as they come down I don't know if it's still known as Exhibition Straight Donington Park, because the Exhibition Centre, or there is no exhibition there. There's still a centre there, but nothing in it, I don't think, to watch anymore. So Davidson in the Lux Motorsport car is fast. Lux, of course, one of the prominent teams in Mini Challenge. 27 seconds to go. And do we think, Maurice, there are going to be any late charges here up the order?
Maybe. I think it's possible. Everyone will be on their last lap, but it's possible that we might start to see some mistakes as the clock's ticking down and the pressure might start to kick in. But so far, it's looking good for Dave Marshall with that strong lap he put in. Max Edmondson putting a spectacular lap, putting himself in second place, which is a strong place for him to be for race number 1. If he can hang on to that, that'll be good for his championship points.
Mike Epps, of course, driving instructor with Richardson Racing. So if you sign up with Richardson this year, I know that an announcement will have to be made at some point with who you're going to be racing with, Maurice, but Mike could very well wind up being your driving instructor. We'll see how that pans out. But he's trying hard to get up from P3. Is Mike Epps, a cracking real-world driver, a very good sim driver as well, as we've seen, and was worried last week about when the tracks open up again that all the sim racers get the practice and he won't. But Mike, I think he's going to be at the sharp end, isn't he? He's bailed out on his lap, so he won't be setting a quicker time. And checkered flag being shown, so it's about these last few cars coming across the line. Dave Marshall here with his first pole of the year provisionally, so he'll get the point. It means the championship will be tied going into race 1, 36 points apiece, because Mike Epps won't be improving, but there might be some drivers further down the order perhaps coming across the line to record better times, but I think we're done. So time to recount the drivers. So it is Dave Marshall who is top. Max Edmondson, a superb P2. So the front row driver from the reverse grid race at the first meeting puts himself on the front row outright in qualifying. Great performance from Max Edmondson. Well done, Max. Mike Epps third, Rob Butler fourth, Jordan Brennan fifth from Jack McIntyre. Row 4 will be Dan Zelos and Isaac Smith. Then Robbie Stapleford and Max Richards. Following Matt Richards, then Max Coates, Josh Hislop, Ryan Elliott 13th from Jack Davidson, Jack Noller 15th, then Ethan Hamilton and Josh Martin, Luke Kidsley 18th, 10th row Josh Stanton and Andy Dorman, Tom O'Farrell and Damien Hall are next up from Simon Reed in 23rd. Following Simon Reed, we've got Liam Lambert, Alfie Glennie, Kenny Press, and welcome back Craig Timmins. Good to see Craig back in the Mad for Mini Motorsport car, one of our sim racers there, and he will line up in 27th position. We may well have the pole position man down in Parc Ferme, so let's go down and say congratulations to now joint championship leader Dave Marshall. Okay, let's go down now. Dave, are you there? Congratulations.
I am indeed, Richard.
Well done on taking the joint championship lead now with that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a shocker of a quali, you know.
How can you say that? You're on pole, for goodness sake, man.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, I like to sort of come out the blocks fairly quickly and get my lap time straight in. And just came out and didn't hook up the laps, and then ended up in a bit of traffic, and it just wasn't coming together. So 3 laps in, I came back in the pits, put enough fuel in to take us right at the end of the session. So I was going to do like a straight 9 lap stint, hoping the tyres would stay in, and sure enough, 4th lap in, managed to put the lap on the board. So really chuffed for that, but there's going to be plenty of pressure from behind.
Yeah, there will, and it's Max Edmondson, you know, who lines up alongside you. What a great performance from him. He was on the front row of the grid for the reverse grid race last time, and now he's up at the front on his own right. He's earned that, and he's going to be putting you under a bit of pressure. So too is your teammate, isn't he, Mike Epps?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Max Edmondson, it really is just a case of, it really shows what you can do with practice. You know, he's joined VRRC probably about a year now, taking part in many championships, and you know, he's put the hard work and he's done the graft, and you know, it pays off, as you can see. And yeah, to be fair, Mike Epps is behind us, but that's quite a nice thing, if I'm honest. It's nice to have a teammate that close, because I know he's not going to do anything daft. So yeah, it's a good pole position, but you need to get your head down for the race now. So
Okay, we'll let you get your head into gear because it's kicking off very shortly indeed. So our joint championship leader, well done, Dave Marshall, and good luck for the race. We'll probably catch you on the podium afterwards. Good luck, mate.
Cheers, Richard, and congratulations, Maurice, on the scholarship. Well done.
Thank you very much. Good luck for the race.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Nice one, Dave Marshall. So we've got our grid. So we'll just run through the top 10 for you again. Dave Marshall and Max Edmondson on the front row. Row 2, Mike Epps and Rob Butler. Jordan Brennan and Jack McIntyre on row 3. Dan Zelos on row 4 with Isaac Smith. Robbie Stapleford lines up on row 5 with Matt Richards to his outside. Here are our two views, added views from last season. We're going to watch for the lights to come on very shortly. It'll be the countdown sequence, and we'll watch the cars as they head down towards Redgate for the first time. So very little turnaround. That's one of the beauties, isn't it, of sim racing. You don't have to have the officials faffing around and waiting for the track to be cleared or anything else. For safety reasons in the real world, of course, we have to have that. But we can crack on straight away with the racing when we are ready to go. So is Dave Marshall going to move ahead in the championship here? It's going to be a thrilling 20-minute race, and we're in the final countdown now, getting ready for the start of this race. So Marshall and Max Edmondson. Now Max has already proved that he's a quick defender. That was at Brands Hatch last year, and he last week, not last year. So he'll be ready to. Lights are on. Let's see if we have a long wait this time, or whether it's going to be a little bit quicker. It is another long wait for the drivers. Inset with Mike Epps running from third place. Dave Marshall gets away well from pole position. Max Edmondson in white slots in P2. Mike Epps in third place in the black and blue car. So the top three as they go into Redgate for the first time. And if we got anybody off, it looks like they've all behaved themselves incredibly well. That means we may get a lap 2 shenanigan, which sometimes happen, but tidy start, Maurice.
Yeah, so far so good. Everyone seems to have got through cleanly. Dave Marshall getting a good start and maintaining his pole position start. So also got someone off in the back as well. I think that's Davidson down, and a couple of them. Oh, there's a big shunt actually.
Yeah, some skittles going on down towards the back end of the grid. So that's going to be a couple of knocks that we get. Tom O'Farrell, the man from Isla, up there in the north of Scotland, is off as well, and Isaac Smith, that's a little bit of a shock. The eighth position on the grid ban is out of it, but Dave Marshall looking to try and build a lead from Max Edmondson. Mike Epps is immediately behind as well. Rob Butler is there in fourth place as they come down into the chicane for the first time, and as you can probably see, they're weaving the tyres, so we've got a safety car situation here. Again, this is what tends to happen in the real world, and Maurice, you're going to have a bit of this in junior racing, my friend.
Yeah, I guess we don't hope for crashes, but yeah, it's inevitable, and we will be having some safety car restarts in Ginettas, so I will be experiencing this in the real life. It looks like a couple of them went off near the last corner, went into the barriers and had a big shunt, so I'm not sure if they had any damage, but they'll probably be in the pits trying to repair that. Yet there's a couple of them in the pit lane, but Dave Marshall now will just be trying to get as much heat in his tyres, so when the safety car comes in, he can have the best restart as possible. Yeah.
Is the safety car restart something that you've thought about circuit racing? Well, actually, I'm going to go back a step. Have you done your ARDS test? You won't have done, will you, since you've been pretty much in lockdown since the scholarship. Have you got your ARDS test booked or thought about doing that yet?
Not yet, but we've pretty much got everything in place. We're going to have to try and get that done as soon as possible, which is a must, but I'm confident that will be done. That will be done.
When are you expecting to announce your team?
We're not sure yet, because of some of the restrictions that we have from Ginetta. We've got to be told when we're allowed to announce. Yeah. Waiting on the other scholar to announce his team. Choose his team, and then we can announce. So I haven't got a definite date yet.
I need to name
Shouldn't be
check.
too
I
long.
need to name check him as well. That's Robert DeHaan, isn't it? Who was another great lad to meet at the scholarship. He's very tall though, isn't he? He's about 8'10", isn't he? He's huge.
Yeah, he's very tall and he's very young as well.
He was quite funny actually, because when we were chatting to him, and he's already taller than me, which is difficult because I'm 5'7", but which isn't short, but equally it's not particularly tall. And I was talking to Robert, and he was obviously he's from the Netherlands. Speaks English perfectly, which is great, and also was straight away making jokes with us. And he was looking at me, actually looking down at me, because I'm that sort of smaller height. And he said to me, maybe I could give you some of my height to make you a bit taller. Thanks, Robert. So he's got a good sense of humour. So we're really looking forward to having you and absolutely unprecedented by Janetta this year, with Lawrence Tomlinson issuing 2 scholarships. And I'm not going to lie, I was actually welling up. Safety cars coming in. Enough talk about Janetta, because this is mini racing, but we need to, because it is part and parcel of the package. There will be a crossover of drivers. So Dave Marshall about to do, I think this is the first safety car restart for Dave Marshall in this championship. It's a new thing for this year. Marshall with the 66 car will blast away. Max Edmondson is not being left by any stretch of the imagination, so I would say that they've all made a pretty much equal restart, which is fair. Maybe Dave could have made a little bit more of that, I don't know. But it's Marshall out front, Edmondson second, Epps is third, no overtaking until they go over the start-finish line. Nobody did, and they are away here on the National Circuit at Donington Park, going virtually, of course, downhill through the Craner Curves, one of the most iconic pieces of racing tarmac in the UK. Mike Epps in third place. Epps runs a little bit wide there. Don't know if that's going to lose him momentum. Looking at Jack McIntyre back in 6th place. Every pass is difficult now, Maurice, because we've got such good driving talent, which seems closer than we had last season.
Yeah, 100%. There's such good talent in this race, and as I said, everyone's in sort of a train. The guy in front of you has a slipstream, makes it harder for you to be able to try and overtake the person just purely on speed alone. So he's going to have to take some decisive moves and some commitment, as we see Robbie Stapleford getting quite close to the number 37 ahead. There's a little bit of contact, but he's looking good for a run, maybe into turn 1. But as I was saying, it's going to be quite difficult to overtake, as the track's all about momentum. As now Robbie Stapleford getting up the inside of Jack McIntyre, and he makes the move stick and is up into P6.
Yeah, good move by him. I think fastest lap at the moment by Max Edmondson in P2, 1 minute 13.634. Dave Marshall's best lap, 1:13.779. We need to keep an eye on that, because championship points wise, that is going to play. At the moment, Dave Marshall though on for 20 points, Mike Epps on for 15. So Marshall here looking to extend the overall championship lead by 5 points if things stay the way they are at the moment. Looking at Josh Hislop in the bright lime green machine, about to pop a move on Luke Kinsley, goes down the inside line. Kinsley in the number 8, a top driver from last season, side by side at the moment with the 23 car, and the Kinetic Motorsport car goes through. Hexagon logo on that, looking really good. And Andy Dorman in the mix as well, in car number 40. So Andy Dorman trying to come through, a near neighbour of Max Coates in real world geography. Down into the chicane they come, and all good battling going on at the moment. It is still Dave Marshall from Edmondson and Epps up at the sharp end. Rob Butler, fourth, George Bell and Robbie Stapleford now in the top 6, as you rightly described, ahead of Matt Richards. Jack Mack down in 8th place, as we continue to watch Josh Hislop, the young Scotsman, having a good run. This is Ryan Elliott, moves up from the sim category to real world racing this year. Interesting to see he's got a glove on there. So is that a regular thing? Do we know with sim drivers?
Yeah, sim drivers do like to wear gloves. As you are indoors as well, your hands can tend to get quite sweaty as well. Also, if you have suede steering wheel, you'd rather have Alcantara gloves to provide better grip for yourself and to stop the steering wheel wearing out. Yeah,
it's another replication, isn't it, of what would happen in the real world, because you're required to wear fireproof equipment, so it's exactly as you would have. This is Matt Richards now we're looking at, the 44 car, and he is having it'd be interesting to hear whether we can hear the drivers shouting or not. I'm not sure whether our viewers are getting the sound from any of the drivers. Probably as well to mute them in case there are any expletives going on, which we don't want, because although we're not quite as strict on broadcasting guidelines as main ones. Epps up into P2. Sorry, while I was wittering on about broadcasting guidelines. Great move by Mike Epps up into second place. And Max Edmondson, where he was in race 2 at Brands Hatch third, runs a little bit wide, maybe getting a bit frustrated now. Rob Butler still in fourth. The top 3 getting clear. Epps needs to get his skates on here. He's still got half the race to go, Maurice, to try and close down on the race leader, Dave Marshall.
Yeah, he'll be full focus now, trying to hunt him down as much as possible. It's quite a big gap, but he's coming down a tenth, a little bit, and now it's gone back up. But I think we're going to be seeing turn 1 as being the most popular overtaking place on this track. If you get a good run out the chicane, you should have the momentum to go hopefully down the inside or even get past before the corner going into turn 1. As I said, this track is quite tricky to overtake because all the corners are quite fast and flowing and require a lot of momentum and quite a high minimum speed you're supposed to carry through. So it's going to be tricky for the drivers as well, as everyone's got the tow. So it's key to stay in the slipstream, and that might help you a bit defend from the driver behind.
We're on board with Rob Butler, and looking back from Rob Butler and Jordan Brennan, now having a little focus on Max Coates, who's done pretty well because Max wasn't in the top 10 but has fought his way through into the top 10. He's in 9th place now, so Coates making some progress which he is going to be pleased with. Fastest man I think at the moment by Epps, that afforded him the extra championship point, but a great battle going on here mid order in the top 10. Jack McIntyre in the 37 machine, all over the back of the orange-red car, the red-white car of 24, Robbie Stapleford. He's got the 44 machine of Matt Richards right behind him as well. We look at Jack McIntyre. How cool is that? Just a little bit of time to wipe the sweat away from his moustache. Wondering who he's talking to in the race, or maybe commentating on his own feed at the moment. They bounce the curves, they come out of the chicane. We go a little bit further back. Josh Hislop in a 3-wide move there, and it looks like Luke Kidsley's got back in front of him. So the Kidsley and Hislop battle, and this is it all for points as well. Kidsley into 13th, 1 place shy of what will be reverse pole for race 2, but they seem to be a little bit away from Jack Noller, who can find himself on pole position for race 2. But we've still got half of this race to go, so all good stuff. McIntyre drops back a little bit from Robbie Stapleford at the moment. I'm wondering if Jack Mack is busy looking at Matt Richards in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, it could be. There's a lot of threat coming from behind in these races. Everyone's trying to attack and move forward. But as you were saying, Jack Noller's looking good for the reverse grid race. It would be good if he can keep that 12th place. That would really help him be able to stay up front and hopefully score some good points in race number 2. But Mike Epps is the gap's not really coming down that much, but Dave Marshall is hanging on to the pressure.
Yeah, Dave's used to soaking that up. Last season we saw quite a few drives away from the rest of the field by Dave Marshall, but it's definitely closer this year. Best lap time so far, Mike Epps 113.03. Sorry, 113.308. Dave Marshall 113.376. So Epps is kind of maybe having a better race this time than he did in race 1 at Brands Hatch. He's still on the podium. We're looking at Edmondson trying to close down on Epps. Maybe they can work together. Matt Richards. So a quick look at him, and again, the voice of these drivers, most of them look very, very much relaxed at the controls of their rigs, which is good to see. Josh Hislop back in front. He's in front of Andy Dorman, that's where he was, so Hislop's still 14th, Kidsley 13th ahead of him, and Andy Dorman there in 15th place, so Andy in the number 40 car, looking to get his second batch of points of the season, if he can. Isaac Smith is down behind him, then Liam Lambert. Lambert's come up well. Craig Timmins has made progress as well, up into 24th place, so well done Craig. from 27th on the grid. So
Yeah.
running well. Got a,
And
sorry, mate.
no worries. Ep's actually now starting to slightly fall back. The gap's now opened out to just over a second. So Dave Marshall's hanging on there and putting in some good laps.
He is. He was 2/10 quicker pretty much on that last lap, Dave Marshall, over Mike Epps. 1:13.6 for Mike, 1:13.5 for Max Edmondson. So Max is starting to try and close in. Jordan Brennan's still looking good. Brennan was so consistent last season, and hopefully this will be the start of his consistency for this year, as we see Tom O'Farrell recovering from the early laps shenanigans, got back on, and the safety car would have afforded him the opportunity to tag onto the back of the field and start to make some progress, and he has. He's in 22nd place out of 27 drivers, so good stuff from him. Not so fortunate, unfortunately, Damien Hall, who's back in 26th place, trying to close down on Josh Stanton as we watch Robbie Stapleford now dropping back. Luke Kidsley is there trying to pass Jack Noller. This is for pole position in race 2. Kidsley in white to the right of shot, coming down the straight now, and I don't know if he knows that he's going to be battling here for that pole position. He's on the outside line here as they go along Exhibition Straight. That might give him a little bit more momentum, a little bit more of a run out of the chicane and along the Wheatcroft Straight. We ride on board with him. He's being forced to the outside line, so Noller on the inside going defensive. Is he going to be able to do it, Maurice?
I think it would be quite hard, but you think he's looking to get the switch back and grab the momentum. There's a little bit of contact there, but I think it looks like he's about to hang on for the time being, but it is very close, and he'll be looking to try and launch another attack on him on the next lap.
Back with Robbie Stapleford, Jack McIntyre trying to get around him. This is the outside line as they go through Schwann's corner up into McLean's. Three-way battle for 6th position here. Marshall still out front. Epps in P2. Epps, I think, still with fastest lap, which means that the points differential will be 2 points between first and second in the championship, provisionally coming into the next race. Back with Jack Noller, getting a little bit of ground clear now as Kidsley is demoted by Josh Hislop on the inside line. So Kidsley is now 2 places away from that provisional pole, and it's going to be Josh Hislop who wants to try and close down on Jack Noller. But Noller's having a bit of breathing space here, and the 2 cars touch, and Kidsley, good control from him to get all that back in order. Andy Dorman, I think, was watching, wondering how that was all going to play out, but Kidsley managed to collect it all up. This is going to give Josh Hislop, I think, a clear run now to try and close on Jack Noller, potentially for provisional pole for race 2.
Yeah, that was a brilliant save by Kidsley. That was good for him to hang on to that. But also this battling is helping Jack open out a gap and give him a bit more breathing space for him to maintain that 12th place and hopefully get the pole position on the reverse grid.
Yeah, Isaac Smith's caught that group as well, and a little bit more work, bumping and barging going on between Robbie Stapleford and Jack McIntyre. Stapleford still in front at the moment. I tell you what, the clerk of the course, Andy Ringland, could well be watching this footage again for most of the week. We probably need to try and catch up with Andy. I'll see if I can grab an interview with him. Of course, our programmes last series was slightly longer because we had 2 sets of 2 races with a break in between, which is when we did some interviews. But it would be nice if we can catch up with Andy maybe before the start of the 3rd round at Alton Park, just to get his take on it, because it's a fascinating take from a guy who knows his racing. He's a Mini Cooper racer himself, Andy Ringland, so he knows what it's like to be out there, and therefore is very well qualified to do the job as an official. So a good guy to hear from. Isaac Smith getting away from Josh Hislop. Josh Hislop in front of Isaac Smith, who's getting away from Luke Kidsley at the moment. Then Andy Dorman. Marshall still out front from Epps and Edmondson. And at the moment, that provisional pole is with Jack Noller. Dan Zelos, 11th place ahead of Jack Noller, will complete front row with 2 minutes 40 on this race. A quick look at Damien Hall, 26th place. He's got to try and close down on Craig Timmins. He's got a little bit of work to do as our Death in Paradise man, as we go back to Robbie Stapleford. This is the scrap for 6th place. Jack McIntyre has thrown quite a lot at Stapleford so far, hasn't he? But he hasn't been able to get past.
No, not yet. Robbie Stapleford just about holding on, but it looks like now Jack McIntyre's got the inside, but Robbie Stapleford will look to get a good run out of the last corner and try and fight it back, but he did well to hang on for so long. I think he was struggling a bit with the pace, and he was trying to maintain onto that 6th place. But it looks like he's trying to hold it around the outside and might actually get overtaken by the number 44 as well. So
yeah, Matt Richards up the inside line. Robbie did actually, as you said, get his nose in front, but now finding himself under a little bit of pressure as well from Max Coates, who's coming into the mix. The white and red car. Good to see Max at the back of that quartet. And, Jack McIntyre, who was a regular on the podium in our previous season, is in 6th place here and having to fight hard for 6th place. Here is the view from Max Coates coming up.
It looked like a little bit of bump drafting went on then.
There is. Oh, and again, just our overhead shot giving us a very clear view of some quite severe door handling going on. Coates goes through on the inside line, passes. You've got Ryan Elliott in the mix as well. Ryan's done well. Dan Seelos up into 10th place now. Max Coates is in 9th.
Stapleford gave Richards a little bit of a push, and Jack McIntyre lost 2 positions, but he's now looking to fight that back now into the chicane. But it looks like Robbie's managed to hold on to that position. But Richards, the big gainer there, gaining 2 places, up into 6th place.
Yeah, good shout there, Maurice. He is up into 6th position. Coates is in 8th, and right in the mix there, Dan Seelos in the Davanti Esports car. Going to ties his long-term sponsors, getting some good coverage again. Ryan Elliott in the mix too has come up. So Ryan on the inside line now, and Jack McIntyre finds himself now.
There's a bit of contact in his
10th place. Yeah, contact, and off goes Ryan. That was the curse of the commentator there. Just as I said how well Ryan Elliott was doing, has the spin through the gravel. Normally that would completely and utterly beach the car and it would be game over, as we have frequently at Donington. It's one of the most annoying things about Donington actually, is the amount of cars that get beached and safety car periods that we can have here, unfortunately. The clock is down, so Dave Marshall potentially on his way and about to start his last lap. So he comes out of the chicane onto the main straight. Epps is still there, not that far behind, and trying to close down on him on this last lap. Max Edmondson has driven a super race in 3rd position at the moment. Jordan Brennan 4th from Rob Butler. Matt Richards now 6th from Robbie Staples and Max Coates. Dan Seeloff 9th. Then Jack McIntyre. Jack Noller, with Ryan Elliott losing out, goes up into 11th place. The provisional pole now is Josh Hislop in 12th place, ahead of Ryan Elliott. So if Ryan can close down, I don't know how close he is, then he might be able to get into a provisional pole. But Dan Seelos at the moment is going to be on the outside of row 2 for race 2. But this battle could well have some more to come from it, because he's busy challenging Max Coates at the moment, 7th and 8th.
Yeah, this battle is still not over. Coates is looking to try and launch an attack now on Robbie Stapleford, but Stapleford will be hard in the defence, and this battling now is actually helping Richards get away now and build a comfortable gap on this last lap, and I think he'll hopefully finish in 6th place. But Dave Marshall now coming across the line with a well-respected victory to take the win. It was a good race by him, dominated out front. He couldn't have acted a bit more than that.
Dive down the inside, yeah, Max Coates diving down the inside. He's got the inside line, but now look at Dan Seelos. Read that superbly. Seelos through on the inside line, and I think he's going to grab the position. 7th place for Seelos. He read that superbly. Nips through from 9th place, Dan Seelos on the final corner. Saw the coming together. Max Coates and Robin Stapleford. Stapleford in 9th place. I was busy writing down the results. I'm going to have to rewrite them now, but it was Dave Marshall that took the win, with Mike Epps in 2nd place. It looks like Mike, I think, has held on to the fastest lap of the race. So Dave Marshall, the winner. Mike Epps in 2nd place. Max Edmondson 3rd from Rob Butler. And then it was Matt Richards, Dan Seelos comes home. Jordan Brennan in 4th place, missing from the timing screen at the moment for some reason. Rob Butler 5th from Matt Richards, then Dan Seelos, Max Coates, Robbie Stapleford and Jack McIntyre wrapping up the top 10. Jack Noller 11th, pole position for race 2 will go to Josh Hislop, but we can go down and chat to our 3 podium finishing drivers, starting with third place. And really good to talk to this youngster for the second time on the bounce. We spoke to him on the podium at Brands Hatch. Max Edmondson, well done on third place, Max. And up at the sharp end, not through reverse grid racing, but on your own merit. Well done. Tell us about your morning so far.
I mean, yeah, I was did quite a good quali lap, to be fair. I was quite surprised that I could do that. I knew I had the time in it, I just couldn't put the lap together and practice. Had not the best start, to be fair, and I got pressured straight under just before safety car. I got pressured by Mike. But then I had quite a good safety car restart. Me and Mike were like just going, and then he overtook me, he gapped me because I didn't have the sheer pace, to be fair.
Much practice over the course of the week?
Yeah, quite a bit, but it's paid off.
Super drive from you, mate. Well done. So a second podium of the year is going to help the championship. And a fair bit of work to do for race 2. The opposite of where you were at Brands Hatch, off the back. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, hopefully we can just get through the pack and get high points for this race, so yeah.
Well, good luck for the race. Many congratulations on the podium, and thank you for chatting to us. Let's go to the man who was in second place. I think got the fastest lap of the race in that one. Therefore, pegs the championship lead to his teammate to 2 points. Mike Epps, well done, Mike.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, it's a tie-off between getting pole and getting fastest lap in the slipstream of the poleman. So it's one of those, isn't it? It depends which one's worth more. But no, that was a bit of a recovery drive from a not perfect quali. I had a good lap early on, but I just didn't get that second, stonker in, whereas Dave clearly did. He seems to have a slight measure on me round here in outright pace, but over the race, we'll see, won't we? I guess it's down to a bit of touring car tactics now in the reverse grid.
What, you mean you're going to smash everybody out of the way?
Yeah, I've been on the phone to Plato during the week. I've just been asking for advice. Where do you hit them at Donny, mate? Or I might ask Andy Jordan. I don't know. We'll see.
Big news of the week. Mr. Plato's back, which is great for the overall package, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm a bit of a fan, to be honest. I like people who wear their real personalities on screen. I'm not a fan of the whole, image that seems to be quite popular to be put on by a few in the paddock. So it's, I'm very much a person that endorses that, and he's been on the TV as I've grown up, so he's certainly been an inspiration. And like I said, just be yourself, and people will learn to like you for that reason.
Absolutely right. Well done on P2. 2 points in the championship. Obviously, you're still heading the real world racing driver part of it, but still a long way to go, and you've got the reverse grid racing to go again. You did well at Brands Hatch. Donington, a favourite track of yours?
I do like it to drive. Unfortunately, the model on this sim, the curbs are a bit nasty, especially in these cars to ride. So one lap is good, and the next lap I'm like a pogo hopper all over the show. So it is a little bit of a roll the dice situation getting a lap in here. But yeah, it's a good fun circuit. But my favourite is yet to come.
Congratulations on P2. We've got to rush along because we've got race 2 starting soon. So well done, Mike Epps. And well done too. Second time on the mic for us today, second time on the podium, is new championship leader Dave Marshall. Well done on the win, Dave. Cheers,
Richard. Yeah, that's what we need, isn't it? It's just chipping away. Another good solid result. But yeah, fair play to Max and Mike. I don't think Max does himself justice on interviews. Like, he is a proper peddler. To see he didn't hook a quali lap up and then only put it, half a tenth off me. Fair play to him. So yeah, fair play to Mike and fair play to Max, and let's hope we can get through the grid.
Yeah, very quick thoughts on that before I know they're calling you now and getting you ready, but what's the option again? Top 5 again, like you said at Brands?
Top 5, but if I'm honest, Max has got good pace, Mike's got good pace, so it'll just be let them do the donkey work and see what happens.
Okay, good luck for the race. I think we're only a matter of seconds away from race 2. And you can see the reverse grid. Josh Hislop and Jack Noller. Hislop in the lime green car. Jack Noller to his outside with the black car with the blue mirrors. Jack McIntyre is next up. Lights are already coming on. It is Robbie Staplefield on the outside of row 2. And row 3, Max Coates and Dan Zelos. So we've got some big hitters, metaphorically, right the way through the order, but particularly at the front end of the grid. It's a good start by Josh Hislop. Gets away well. Robbie Staplefield slots in. Jack Noller, I think, half speculatively thinking to the outside line, goes wide on the run down into Redgate. Jack McIntyre looking up inside as they go into Redgate for the first time. Again, a couple of spinners. Was that Mike Epps, we think, has been pushed off. That's going to be gutting for Mike Epps as we look at Dan Zelos going around the outside as they come down through Hollywood into the Crater curves for the first time, but holding his nerve, Josh Hislop. I say holding his nerve, there's no reason to expect that he wouldn't. Again, Robbie Stapleford tap on the back end there of Jack Noller, but it's Jack McIntyre in second place, Jack Noller in third, and McIntyre is looking for the lead. He really does need to start bagging some race wins here, and it's unusual to see him on a reverse grid race up towards the front, but he's going to make the most of this one, I think, Maurice.
Yeah, it's good to take every opportunity that he can, and he'll be looking to score maximum points in this race. He's looking to try and get the lead, and as you said, it's not usual for him to be up the front in the reverse grid, but he needs to try and do as good as he can as Robbie Stapleford up the inside on Jack Noller for third position was a good move.
Yeah, what a good move. So potential podium on him at the moment, but here's the battle for the lead coming down into Redgate once again, and Josh Hislop out front, McIntyre hunting him down. He definitely needs to get in front and try and get away. Let's have a look at the opening lap progress. Dave Marshall to 8th. Mike Epps is down in 18th after his moment. So Max Coates 5th, trying to close down on Jack Noller, and Dan Zelos in 9th place, having started P6 on the grid. So it was a real shuffle, wasn't it, on the first lap, and you can see they're still sorting themselves out. Reverse grid racing, of course, so popular it is, as Mike Epps alluded to, as we look at Josh Martin working hard. Very much a touring car initiative. I think the first championship in the UK to reverse grids was the Eurocar Championship in 1994, as the 44 car of Matt Richards having a little moment but recovering exceptionally well for it, but Eurocar did it. That was seen as a threat, I think, to touring cars in the early days. So touring cars brought in reverse grid racing, but now everybody doing it, including single seaters. And on the token package next year, we've got this really exciting innovation that the F4 British Championship, powered by Ford EcoBoost, is going to be having a totally reversed grid race as down the inside line goes into the lead. Jack McIntyre takes it. Every time we try and tell you something happens on track. Jack McIntyre in the lead, runs a little bit wide. It's not looking to try and get the cut back on the inside, but can't quite do it. McIntyre, very well executed move there, Maurice.
Yeah, it was a brilliant move. It was very decisive and committed, and he made the move stick. He's now up into first place, and he'll be looking to try and extend his gap and try and break the toe to his lot behind. But Robbie Stapleford now got the gap down to only half a second, so those two battling are helping him catch up, and there's a little scrap now for fourth place. That's Brennan and Coates, and Marshall now up into 7th. He's doing well, he's worked his way up the field, and he'll be looking to try and make some more places.
Yeah, Jordan Brennan, remember, was in 4th place. Isaac Smith had a punt and he's down the field. And yeah, Brennan started quite well back, was 4th in race 1, so he is possibly someone we might need to think about as driver of the day here, if he can hold on. It's early doors, and all of the Newsham nutters, because he's part of the David Callum Newsham clan, of course, is Jordan Brennan, will be saying, for goodness sake, Richard, don't tip him for anything, because that's the curse of the commentary. We'll see how he goes. Max Edmondson working hard still as well. So Jordan Brennan, there he is in the 98 car, the Liquimolly Riggs machine, a sim driver that I'd love to see out in the real world if he can get the budget. Known to Dan for a very long time through Legends Racing originally. He was nice to catch up with him on the one day I was allowed in the paddock this year at the Touring Cars for Real. Look at this super simmed shot. Jordan Brennan trying to get on terms with Jack Noller here, and he's going to go through on the inside line. Coatsy is in front of them in 4th place. Robbie Stapleton 3rd, chasing down Josh Hislop. And progress by Mike Epps. Mike Epps now, after that first lap shenanigans, has got back into the points. This is great driving by Epps, into 12th place. So he's well into the points ahead of Ryan Elliott and Dorman's 14th. Jack Davis 15th at the moment. Liam Lambert is just outside the points, but running well ahead of Tom O'Farrell. So those two are going to be battling it out for points as Brennan just puts a little bit of contact there on Jack Noller. Not a deliberate shunt, but that was just close racing by my eyes as they go across the line. McIntyre, Hislop and Stapleford will try and get a look for you at who's got the fastest lap of the race as well. but all looking good, or reasonably good. Dave Marshall actually only in 9th place at the moment. So
Yeah, he lost a place.
Only 3 places behind him, isn't he?
Yeah, he's there and thereabouts. He's in that big mid-pack scrap. He'll be looking to try and find a way through, but he's not going to take any unnecessary risks because obviously he's got the championship to think about. But this scrap this is all for 5th place actually, or 4th place. Is looking really spicy.
Max Coates looking sharp. We know that Max can deliver, and he's up into 4th, but he'll be looking at that gap ahead of him, and it's a big gap ahead to Robbie Stapleford at the moment. Are we going to see a maiden season podium for Robbie Stapleford here? Again, I don't want to do the curse of the commentator for him, but we could well see a top 3 on board with Matt Richards, Dan Zelos in his trademark 45 Devanti Tyres car. Max taking Matt, keep calling him Max, apologies for that, Matt. Takes a very good line into the chicane, and it gives him more momentum on the way out. He's beginning to draw level with Dan Zelos, who's having to, of course, go defensive, hold the inside line, across onto the pit lane exit, into Redgate. He's going to try and hold it out on the outside line. Mike Epps is behind them as well. There is Epps in the black and blue car. Our driver coach trying to work his way further up into the points. If he clears these boys, then he might be able to get back. Well, I say these boys, we're now looking at Jack Noller once again, fending off Jordan Brennan. Rob Butler is in behind, then Dave Marshall, Zelos, Richards and Epps right behind them. Mike Epps now into 11th position. So Noller on the inside line, and Jordan Brennan on the outside, working hard for that 5th position, but again he's got to maintain the outside line now as they come into Coppice. The double apex right-hander, Rob Butler up on the inside line as well in the 74 car. So Brennan into 5th. He's going to have to try and close down on Max Coates. Down Exhibition Straight again. They've sorted themselves out. It's calming down a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, it's getting very. They're all going for the same piece of track, and it's gonna. They're after going to respect each other on track. Jack McIntyre now doing well, extending his gap now to 1.3 seconds. But Coates set anything that was a purple lap from him, so I think he might have done the fastest lap. Mike Epps now up into 9th place, so he's doing well, 1 behind Dave Marshall, so that should be interesting to watch.
How on earth has he caught him?
I think Dave Marshall's stuck in that mid-pack battle, and Mike Epps has just been able to pick his moves and been decisive, and he's just been able to just get the job done.
I think you're absolutely right. Jack Mack is away. Best lap time at the moment for Epps, 1:13.402. So Epps again, the quickest driver on track, and that is evidenced by his drive through the field. So he's working hard. He'll want to get ahead. Remember, 2 points to gap the overall championship between the 66 car, just ahead of the car we're seeing in shot now, number 12, Mike Epps. So Epps will need to get in front of him. They're dicing it out for 7th, 8th and 9th position at the moment, and Epps looking pretty cool and calm. I can't help but feeling that in the real world there'll be you'd get the buffeting and everything else, which is why things look a little bit calmer. But you can see how hard he's working here and trying to get the run on Dave Marshall. Goes to the outside line. Is he going to tuck back in here? Because he's got Jack Noller, Dan Zelos, Matt Richards right behind him as well. Leading this group still, Dave Marshall, Jack McIntyre with a 1.4 second lead over Josh Hislop at the moment. There's their overhead drone shot. And a little bit of a wide moment there as Dan Zelos drops back just a little bit in the 45 car to come back. Liam Lambert still just outside the points, chasing Jack Davidson for that championship point. So we'll see whether Liam can do that, grab his first championship point of the season. And of course,
it's actually good to notice that the gap for 3rd place has now come down to 2 tenths. So 2nd place, sorry. Now Robbie Stapleford is now getting very close onto the back of Hislop. So
good spot, Maurice. Here we go on board with Robbie Stapleford. So we were talking about a maiden season podium. Is it going to be a place further up? And he looks poised, doesn't he? We know he's got the pace here, but Josh Hislop coming under a bit of pressure. This is good news for Jack Mack, isn't it? Getting away.
Yeah, and Robbie seems to have a good run, and he's now looking to go up the inside into turn 1, and it's looking good for him.
Got his nose in front and gets the job done, consolidates that position as he goes into Redgate. Josh Hislop, though, will try and fight back. Our inset shot, of course, busy having a look at what's going on with this group. Dan Zelos getting a little bit of a nudge there from Matt Richards in the 44 car. Ahead of Dan Zelos, we've got Jack Noller, Dave Marshall, and Mike Epps, who's actually got ahead now of Dave Marshall. So Epps from way down in the field goes through up into 7th place. He's got to try and close down on Rob Butler, and Rob Butler might be a tip for driver of the day as well, because Butler running in 6th was 5th in race number 1. Jordan Brennan has had a potentially 4th and 5th. So Brennan, if we were doing it on points, would be slightly the better, more consistent of the two. But again, hashtag Mini Challenge eSeries. Tell us who your thoughts, or what your thoughts are on who should be driver of the race 1, maybe race 2, or certainly driver of the day, and we'll take that into account. And I'll be asking Maurice to help me out with that decision after the race as well. With 8 minutes 51 left on the clock, and we'll see whether things are going to change as we watch the Advantage Tyres car. Top 10 again for Dan Zelos. You can see Epps and Marshall ahead of these two, pulling away, trying to reel in Rob Butler now.
Yeah, so he's trying to reel him in, grab some more points. I think it's crucial that Epps has got ahead of Dave Marshall as well. He's looking like he's found a little bit more pace. It's a really good drive by him to just come through the field after an incident on the first lap, to keep his head.
Well, we'd have to ask, wouldn't we? We'd have to ask, where would Mike Epps be now if he hadn't had that moment? Would he be dicing with Jack Mack for the lead? Because, you know, he's certainly had the pace to get away, as we watch Max Coates closing in on Jordan Brennan. So this is closed up a little bit. Jordan in 4th place, Max Coates 5th. Rob Butler is in behind as well. Little dip back into 9th and 10th. Jack Noller, who started on the front row of the grid, so has kept himself in the top 10. It looks like it's going to be a reasonable finish at the moment for Noller. Matt Richards is down behind him. Then Max Edmondson in 12th. Ryan Elliott 13th from Andy Dorman. The points position still concluded at the moment by Jack Davidson. Liam Lambert trying to close down on him, with Isaac Smith recovering as well in 17th. Then Josh Martin, Tom O'Farrell 19th from Damien Hall, Simon Reed in 21st place from Ethan Hamilton, Kenny Press, Alfie Glennie and Craig Timmins in 25th. So Jack Mack looking secure with 2.4 seconds clear at the moment as we watch the Richards and Noller battle, with Matt Richards trying to find the inside line there of the 36 car, and that could work out here, but the switchbacks around Donington means that inside line on one corner flicks to outside on the following one. Max Edmondson closing up as well in the number 4 car, trying to come through, makes the climb up into Coppice, has to content himself with staying behind Matt Richards at the moment. A wide line there. He's going to have a look on the outside run. He'll need to try and tuck back on the inside if he's going to be able to challenge coming down here into the chicane. Side by side at the moment.
He's trying it around the outside.
Yeah, Richards and Noller. Richards is going to, but again they go off, and the Dan Zelos move there, if we can call it that, was actually made by Max Edmondson, who goes up into 10th place. So Edmondson read that very well. He saw those two cars, they were bundling with each other. Matt Richards stays ahead of Jack Noller, and they're going to continue fighting. But ultimately, that was good news for Max Edmondson coming through into the top 10. Now Max Coates has been caught by Epps, so Mike Epps now goes past Max Coates. Jordan Brennan still 4th. Rob Butler, they're closing up, aren't they, on this sort of battle between 4th to 8th place is beginning to close down. And at the moment, this is points-wise, this is significant, Maurice, because we've got Epps in 6th position, which is 10 points, and Dave Marshall in 8th, which is 8. That negates the 2-point lead that Marshall had from race 1. But if Epps gets the fastest lap, he'll have the championship lead by a solitary point. It is that crucial at the moment.
It is, and it's so close, but we must say it's a very good drive from Epps, and you can see how determined that he was to get back up the field and not lose his head and just keep his focus to gain all these places, because I'm pretty sure he was in 18th on lap 1, but he's managed to work his way through up into 6th place and is now hunting down Butler. So we'll see how he gets on. There's not a lot of time left 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock now, so he's got a bit of time to try and maybe get 5th place, but maybe it's fair to say that's the most he's going to get unless things may happen up front.
Could well do. We're at the moment watching Ryan Elliott, who's worked hard, got into the top 12, and Matt Richards up ahead of him. Jack Noller is in behind. Those two have had an absolute ding-dong, and you saw the body rubbing between the cars going on. Epps and Butler, 0.4 of a second between those two at the moment, so Epps looking for P5, back with Andy Dorman in car number 40, 14th place. Jack Davidson right behind him, the black car with the pink mirrors. And Ryder on board with Mike Epps, closing down now on Rob Butler. Here we come into the chicane. Butler, a little bit of a gap between himself and Jordan Brennan at the moment, so Butler's going to be concerning himself with looking to see who is behind him. And Epps goes right the way out over the pit lane exit, wide line in here into Redgate. He's going to grab the curb, slightly tighter line, a bit more efficient perhaps than Rob Butler. Butler absolutely no slouch himself, and holding on well here. Epps has still got the cushion of Max Coates between himself and Dave Marshall. You can see Coates actually harrying Mike Epps at the moment, so in this position Epps under a lot of pressure, isn't he? Pressure to overtake and pressure to defend.
Exactly, that's how close these races are. The guy behind as well has his slipstream, so it's going to make him hard, but he's looking for a move up the inside, and seems like he's got it done, but there's been a little bit of contact and he's forced wide a little bit, but he's managed to get them. Oh boy, he's hung on, but I think now Epps has got the lead of this train, but they're still fighting down into the chicane, so it's interesting how this is going to plan out.
Yeah, side by side at the moment. Epps is on the outside line. Rob Butler's got the racing line on the inside as they come down into the chicane. Gets the position back. You can see Max Coates is right there as well. The Primex Cirrus car getting back in the mix as well. Outside line for Coates. Side by side across the line. Coates is ahead of Epps as they break the timing lead. So Coates into 6th place. Epps on the inside as they go into Redgate. Dave Marshall keeping the watching brief, if we can call it that, is in 8th place. Epps back into 6th. He can't dislodge Rob Butler at the moment. Butler holds on to 5th place. Still ahead of them is Jordan Brennan. Quiet race from Jordan, but possibly on to man the meeting. Let's we go with Mike Epps. There is a temptation to go with whoever scores the top points. Epps runs wide. Here comes Max Coates down the inside line. Has he got the momentum to make this thing? Epps has seen him, and there wasn't quite enough momentum from Coates. Now Dave Marshall in the mix as well. The 66 car starting to switch it on. Right behind them, Coates working the outside line. Coates again, not worried seemingly about the championship leader behind him. Little bit of contact. Dave Marshall in car with him. Up the climb into Coppice, running a little bit wide goes Max Coates, the 10-10 car, looks down the inside line. Surely this is going to be job done for Dave Marshall if he can get the run out of Coppice. Down Exhibition Straight, side by side. Mike Epps having a little bit of a breather now because Coates is fully aware that Dave Marshall challenging for position. This is potentially for championship lead maintained for Dave Marshall. He can't do it, and Max Coates, superb defensive driving from Coates. Good, clean, fair stuff between the pair of them, and Dan Seelos closing in 2 as well, Maurice.
Yeah, brilliant racing by the guys there. Dave will be looking now to try and get that move done as he's now within striking distance. Also, Epps now trying to still hunt down Butler, so it's interesting because now if Epps overtakes Butler, he'll have a bigger championship lead, and so Dave is trying to just get past and try and get past as many cars as possible. He's still putting Coates under a lot of pressure, trying to put him under some pressure to make him hopefully make a mistake, or he's looking for a move up the inside now. He's got a nose in, but still not able to make that move.
He's still having a go. I'm going to cut back to the shot we had before of the 246 car. Damien Hall, did you see the big grin that he had as he came out of the chicane, having a dice here? As to go down the inside goes Dave Marshall. As we go back to this battle, rightly Marshall on the inside line. That surely is going to be job done now to get past Max Coates. We've got 15 seconds on the clock. So Jack McIntyre, I think, as Jack McIntyre crossed the line, so he will get this lap plus another one. I think as Marshall runs a little bit wide, Coates gets more momentum as a result. Dan Seelos up here as well and challenging them. But the 37 car, Jack McIntyre on the inset,
Epps into
is the race leader. Yeah, Epps has passed Butler, has a good spot there, great spot, up into 5th position. It's difficult to know where to look. But Marshall, he needed that Epps championship-wise to get back in front. And again, you've got to have eyes absolutely everywhere to see who's got what in terms of the fastest laps and so on and so forth. But Jack McIntyre on his way up into Coppice, very well clear of Robbie Stapleford, who is going to be a maiden podium finisher, which is good for him. Josh Hislop, we're going to see him on the podium for the first time as well, running in the 23 car, so it's going to be good to have a chat with him. Max Coates now under pressure from Dan Seelos, and coming down towards, you can see Mike Epps in 5th place, Jordan Brennan ahead of him in 4th. I think he's going to be head on for another podium, and it was checkered flag. Oh, this is I was trying to work my maths out. He's got another lap to go because he had crossed the line when we saw the clock reach 0. So McIntyre with another lap to do. It won't worry him because he's 3.7 seconds clear. Robbie Stapleford still in 2nd. He's going to be delighted with the podium. And Dave Marshall, 7th place. Mike Epps is in 5th. So 2 points between those two. Max Coates and Dan Seelos still very much hard at it. But what a race we've had again, Maurice.
I know it's been a brilliant race. Again, it's delivered close racing, which makes it more exciting. But Jack has dominated out front and he's done well. Made the most of this reverse grid, and it's as most as he could do. He's done what he needed to do. Robbie Stapleford as well made up a lot of positions, getting himself into 2nd place. He's scoring some strong points as well from this reverse grid race. But Epps has done a very good job as well, being able to climb back up the field and get ahead of Dave Marshall after the incident on the first lap.
Jack McIntyre crosses the line and will take the win in race 4 of the 2021 Mini Challenge eSeries. This is the battle between Dan Seelos and Max Coates. Seelos made up a couple of places on the last corner of race 1. Can't do that in race 2. Max Coates just hanging on to 8th position there ahead of him. Ryan Elliott is running in 12th place, closing down on Max Edmondson and Matt Richards as they cross the line. Edmondson completing the top 10, but it was Jack McIntyre, the race winner, Robbie Stapleford in 2nd position, and then Josh Hislop completing our virtual podium. Jordan Brennan is in 4th place, but what a race. Championship-wise, it is going to come down to fastest lap because Epps and Marshall separated by 2 positions. That gets Epps back equal on points with Dave Marshall. As we pick up on Craig Timmins, good to see Craig there in the Mad 4 Motorsport car, and he is running at the moment in 25th. Last point scorer was Isaac Smith in 15th place. Just having a look to see whether Liam Lambert managed to get up into the points as well. But anyway, I think we are probably now able to head down. We'll do the result for you first of all. Jack McIntyre from Robbie Stapleford and Josh Hislop in 3rd place completing the podium. We'll chat to those guys in a couple of minutes' time. Jordan Brennan 4th from Mike Epps and Rob Butler. Dave Marshall in 7th from Max Coates and Dan Seelos. Max Edmondson 10th. Andy Dorman next up from Jack Davidson. Point scorers completed by Josh Martin and Damien Hall. Thomas Farrell, I think, is slightly wrong. I think we've had people dropping off the server, unfortunately. Let's have a quick look down. Yes, we have had. So what we can do is go back down into the paddock and have a word with the driver who finished in 3rd position. A maiden podium of the year. Congratulations, Josh Hislop.
Thanks, Richard.
Congratulations on that, and the Kinetic Motorsport setup working well for you. Talk us through your opening couple of weekends and maybe specifically your podium there.
Yeah, I mean, at Brands Hatch, I think got a little bit unlucky, just kind of getting caught up in instance, but it's good to bounce back well this weekend and obviously get a good result in the reverse grid race.
We're pleased to see you up there, and of course with less races there's kind of less to pull back, isn't there, in terms of the championship. So how do you fancy your chances for the rest of the year?
I think the championship looks super competitive this year. The field's really closed up since last time, and obviously having the variable in terms of being able to change our setup as well, that can make such a big difference too. So I think it's going to be really challenging this year, but hopefully I can get some more results like this, and we'll see where we're at the end of the season.
Great stuff. Well, well done on getting that great looking car up on the podium. Super Drive, 3rd position, first one of the year. I'm sure we'll talk to you many more times on the podium over the course of the 2021 season. Josh Hislop, congratulations, mate. Well done. 2nd position. Let's have a word with the man who finished in P2, another maiden podium, and a driver I met, like my co-commentator, at the Ginetta Junior Scholarship just before Christmas. Well done, maiden podium, Robbie Stapleford. Robbie, how are you? And well done.
I'm good, thanks, Rich, and thank you.
My pleasure, mate. Really good to meet you on the scholarship. And as you heard, we've got Maurice here, who was up the front at the scholarship with you as well. So it's nice to bring a Ginetta element together as part of the Toka family, which of course we all are. Must be good to get that podium.
Yeah, I had the pace at Donington, but just didn't get the racecraft out to bring it on the podium in the races. And then it wasn't a great first race at here, but then I got the reverse grid, what helped me a bit, and then I just kept the pace and started to gain on Jack towards the end, and then just maintained the gap, and it came together. So yeah.
Did you feel any pressure? Because I know that when we did the pre-season interview with Max Coates and Dave Marshall, they were sort of tipping you for outright honours, and someone who hasn't appeared in this before. Did that put any pressure on you, or did you just ignore that and get on with the job?
Put a little bit of pressure on, but mainly just ignored it and just tried to do the best I could do and see how it all came out.
And what was can I ask what the penalty point was for that you've got on the point scoring?
Just an incident with Max Coates at the first corner at Brands in race 2.
And do you get to chat with Andy Ringland about that, or are you just sort of notified by email or messenger?
Just saw it in the Google Drive, what Rich put up, and just saw I had a protest against me, and then just saw it.
Yeah, and how did you feel about that?
A bit disappointing, but didn't lose any places, so still high in the championship. So.
Top man, well handled on that one. That's the sort of question we throw at you in Ginetta Scholarship, I think, that sort of thing. So well handled. And what are your thoughts going into Alton Park? You looking forward to that next week?
Definitely looking forward to it. Like Alton, the last time I was there was in the Porsche League of Champions, and that was pretty good. We had a good result there, so I'm really looking forward to Alton. Nice
one, Robbie. Great to welcome you to the podium. Congratulations on that. And we'll catch up with you at Alton Park. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
So on to our winner, first win of the season, the silent assassin back on the top step of the podium, Jack McIntyre. Congratulations.
Cheers, Richard. Yeah, that was a mixed day. Race 1 didn't really go to plan. I had a few incidents towards the end and lost a bunch of points there, but yeah, it set me up for the reverse grid, so I just tried to get my head down and get in front early and keep it in front, which I did.
When you get that opportunity, if you have a bad race 1, you did get into the right place to be able to get onto the front of the grid for race 2 and make it count. You had to, but you did that, and that's the mark of someone who is going to be in contention, to my mind.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, it's a long championship. I put a lot of effort in this week. Last year, Brands Indy and Donington both didn't go amazingly. I didn't have that much pace there, so I put a lot of effort in this week, but still wasn't really where I wanted to be. So hopefully, my fortune's changed a little bit with the tracks coming up. But we'll see. It's a long championship, so.
How many hours, I asked this question a lot, how many hours prep do you guys put in over the course of a week?
Too many, probably. I did 5 or 6 last night after work, so I was maybe a bit too much, a little bit tired this morning, but yeah.
That's a key thing, isn't it? You're saying after work, it's not, for our viewers that are watching this, you guys do actually do work as well. It's not like you're on the sim all day. I know some people might be in a position to be able to do that, but you have a job as well, which is, probably helping keeping you sane, I guess.
Well, yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, it takes away the opportunity to spend all day, every day on the sim. But it's nice. Yeah, it's nice to be in the office and for things to be a little bit normal in a time like this.
Yeah. Well done on the win. That was good to see a dominant win as well in race 2. So well done. Great to see on the top step of the podium, Jack McIntyre, our winner. Our top 3: Jack McIntyre, race winner, first one of the season. Robbie Stapleford, first time on the podium for this year. Same again for Josh Hislop, who finishes in. So let's have a word with Maurice Henry. First of all, Maurice, a big thank you from me for joining me in the commentary. We really threw you in the deep end because it's the first time that you've, I guess, done this with anybody else. So well done on that. Well done on winning the scholarship as well. We would have had you as a guest commentator whether you won the scholarship or not, to be perfectly honest, because you came across so well when we met you at the Ginetta Do.
Thank you very much,
before
Mike.
Christmas. And what are your thoughts on driver of the day today?
I really do think Mike Epps done a good job of keeping a level head in race number 2. Having an incident and then being able to come back up the field is very good. I think he showed good pace and good commitment in the moves that he made. He was very decisive. I think he has a good chance of being driver of the day.
We're going to see what our social media feed tells us. I don't know whether Mike Yao is able to talk on air, but I'm going to ask what his thoughts are for driver of the day as well. He's normally a bit busy directing for us and changing shots and spotting the things that we're not spotting. And maybe he'll tell me who he thinks. Or Rich Hayden, are we going to get thoughts from Rich as well? Okay, Mike's telling us that Josh Hislop's done a super job, so his name thrown into the ring as well for driver of the day. And Rich Hayden here as well. Rich, any thoughts? Let's hear from Rich. Yes, Rich, we can hear you. Who's your driver of the day?
Yeah, I agree with Mike. Josh Hislop. Good maiden podium for Josh, and he drove a smart race in race 2. So yeah, I agree with Mike on that one.
Yeah, I think both Josh and Mike Epps has suggested my Maurice really good suggestions. I'm going to go with the guy I was talking about during the race for driver of the day, which is Jordan Brennan, because Jordan had what looked on the face of it maybe a quiet day, but very consistent high point scoring. So I'm going to go Jordan Brennan, but we'll let you guys decide amongst yourselves and also be influenced as well by the people that are hashtagging us. It's still not too late to do that. Hashtag the challenge eSeries, and keep that going throughout the week as we look forward to our Autumn Park round, which will kick off at the same time next week. But what a thrilling couple of races we've had here at Donington Park. Round 3 next week, 30th of January. Where's January gone? We'll be out of lockdown before you know it, won't we? By September. Round 4 at Snetterton in 6th of February. Then we go to Knock Hill, Silverstone International 27th of February, and wrapping things up, Brands Hatch GP. Any closing thoughts from Rich or Maurice?
No, just thank you for having me.
Yeah, from me, look, I'm really looking forward to the next round. We didn't have Alton in the last series, and we do this time round, so I know it's a massive favourite of a lot of the drivers, so really looking forward to some more extremely close racing.
Yeah, looking forward to that Alt Park. Always a cracking racetrack, and I think Andy Ringland is going to find himself even more busy than usual, because that's one of the traits, isn't it, of Alt Park. Maurice, again, thank you very much for joining. Posted on when you're able to let us know about your, the team, and when Janetta are going to be able to let us know which team you're going to be driving for this year, and keep in touch. But great job, mate. Thank you very much for joining us, and give our regards to your dad as well.
Yeah, no worries, I will do. Thank you, Richard, for inviting me, and see you soon.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Thanks to Rich Hayden for joining us. Mike Yao as well, our director, who's done such a superb job again behind the scenes, keeping us up to date with everything here. So from all of us on the Mini Challenge eSeries, thank you very much for joining us on the stream, and we hope that we can have your company again next week. So stay healthy, stay indoors, stay away from each other, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.
The inside of Coates.
Parker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.